let's talk about New Year's Eve. Let's talk about spiked eggnog, mulled wine, not just New Year's Eve, the whole holiday experience. So much centered around food and drink, and some of those drinks can get alcoholic. I think I mentioned our family does Tom and Jerry's, which is like an eggnog with rum and brandy in it. And my dad always called New Year's Eve amateur night, because that's one night where it's an excuse people will go out and bring in the new year, and maybe they're not used to this much alcohol consumption. Is there something you can do before you go out, or indeed after you go out, to stave off a hangover? I hate to say that she is a expert on hangovers, which sounds kind of funny, but kind of is. Dr. Fahmi Farah, and I hope I'm getting your name right, doctor, medical expert, really. But let's talk hangovers. Am I saying your name right, first of all?
You almost did. It's Fahmi Farah.
Fahmi Farah. See, I knew I'd mess it up. Fahmi Farah. It's fun to say, actually. Welcome to your morning wake-up. All right, so greasy food, hair of the dog, mimosa in the morning. We hear all these remedies. First of all, what causes a hangover? And give me the remedy.
Yeah, so excessive alcohol consumption can give you a hangover just because, your body gets dehydrated, and the effect of alcohol, of course. The remedy from the dehydration, the main thing is hydrating yourself. So lots of fluids, primarily water, but also with electrolytes. And as you know, during this time of the year, a lot of centers open up with IV treatment just because to be able to provide that therapy, the remedy, which is hydration, electrolyte, including vitamins, minerals, all of those would be good remedy.
Wait a minute. You said IV treatment, so you could go to, say, the urgent care and get an IV if you're hungover?
If you're dehydrated enough, yes. You could go to the emergency department, and they will give you IV treatment. Mm-hmm.
I gotcha. But really, if it really does, most of it come down to dehydration. So, say, Gatorade and sleep, and an aspirin, that's about all you can do?
For the most part, yes. It's the hydration that I would stress upon.
I gotcha. What about before going out? Is there something we can do, or a number of things to do that we would, besides just don't over drink, but to stave off the hangover?
Yes. Don't drink on an empty stomach. So, of course, eat something before you go out. And again, as you mentioned, I am not promoting drinking by any means. Moderation is key. And, of course, abstaining from drinking is good for you.
Yeah. But you know what? You get out at the New Year's party, and like I said earlier in the show, we used to swank it up. I used to love those, you get all dressed up and you go to a fancy hotel somewhere and they have a band playing. And the next thing you know, you're toasting here, you're toasting there, and there's champagne and there's this and that and the other, which I am not a fan of champagne. I'll just tell you that right now. And the next thing you know, you're feeling a little tipsy and you're like, whoa, what happened there? What happened there? What about mixing different? You always hear that beer than liquor, never sicker, those little rhymes. Are those true?
Not that I know of, but, again, from being a cardiologist, my advice would be not to mix too many drinks, and, moderation is key. Try not to get to a point where you're getting drunk.
Right. You are a cardiologist. I said you're a hangover expert. I really should say this. You're a cardiologist. And so what this means is, let me ask you this. What does alcohol do to the heart and the heart rate and all of that? Slows it way down?
Very good question. Yes. So alcohol is actually really bad for the heart. If you drink enough, it can cause the heart muscle to weaken and can cause somebody to go into heart failure, especially those who have pre-existing heart conditions. We definitely ask them to not drink too much. And even those who don't have pre-existing heart conditions, even for those, excessive alcohol drinking is bad for you. And those who are on certain medications like antidepressants, mixing those with alcoholic beverages could be really bad.
Yeah, if you are on any kind of, serious medication, you're out of your mind if you start drinking on New Year's. I mean, Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster right there. Any vitamins or anything that we could take before or after drinking? I've heard that B complex is good.
It is, yes. A B complex is good. Not so sure about before, but certainly after. In fact, when people come in with dehydration and hangover from excessive drinking to the hospital, that's one of the things we provide in their IV is B complex.
Oh, well, and that's something. Talking with Dr. Okay, now I'm going to get it wrong again. Doggone it. Fahmi Farah, right?
You got it.
Thank you. I get a star. How about that? So what is a cardiologist, a world-renowned cardiologist like yourself? I'm calling you world-renowned. How about that? What do you do? You stay in on New Year's Eve because it is Amateur's Night. You're going like, you know what? I don't need it.
For me, I don't actually like getting drunk. But, like I said, moderation is key. I'm not saying that people are not going to drink on New Year's Eve. But, one glass of champagne or one or two cocktails, that's my go-to usually, one or two. That'd be my advice to most people.
Yeah. And you know what? And I've done this. There is nothing wrong. And a good bartender will give you a knowing wink. If you privately say to your server or bartender, go like, look, I'm driving. I don't want to get, and they're good with that. They don't want you to get too drunk. And they're appreciative that you know yourself. You could go to them and say like, give me some apple juice with some of the fancy fruit in a highball glass. No one's going to know the difference. And they'll do that for you, won't they?
They will. And now they have a lot of zero proof drinks, And I've actually been to restaurants where they taste just like alcohol. You can't really tell the difference. So you can try those.
Yeah. Yeah, the Shirley Temples and the Kitty Cocktails and the things like that have been around forever. But there are actual entire nightclubs. Oh, what's the name for them? Mocktails. It's a mocktail club. That's a big deal now. Yeah.
Yes, and mocktails actually taste pretty good. I do that a lot, by the way. I do mocktails a lot.
Aha! See, this is the medical person. The cocktails. She does mocktails. People, take a lesson. Take a lesson. Nothing wrong with a glass of champagne, but you can do cocktails. All right. So dehydration. We want to fight that. And my last question: is it like beer, champagne, the carbonated drinks, are those worse than just, say a shot?
No, I wouldn't say those are worse than a shot. Those are carbonated. They can get you dehydrated. But, in a shot, there's a higher concentration of alcohol. So I can't say that one is worse than the other. Shot, if you take enough of them, it's pretty bad.
All right. I was going to do that as my last question, but I wrote a note down here. I'm just seeing it. Have you ever heard of hangover pills? There's like these, they call them hangover pills. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have heard of them, yes.
Do they even work, or is it just like a placebo thing?
I don't know. I think it may be more of a placebo effect than anything. From a medical advice standpoint, I'm going to stick to hydration. Some people do Tylenol along with hydration just for that headache.
Yeah. But the number one thing, just be in charge of yourself. Don't get crazy. Don't be like an amateur and just get all crazy drunk. There you go. There's my advice. How about that?
Mine as well.
Doc, I appreciate it. You sound like a fun person. Dr. Fahmi Farah, cardiologist, and we call her our hangover expert. I hope you don't mind that. I just kind of
I don't.
All right. Well, Happy New Year, and thanks for your time this morning.
Happy New Year to you and all.